Hey, New York City real estate buyers and sellers, it is time for our monthly Manhattan market report. Can you believe that we're almost at the end of the year? We're going to take a look at what happened in October, how we think that's going to affect the month of November, and stick around for this special information at the end of this video where we're going to talk about the election that is happening this next week and how that typically affects the Manhattan market. I'm Dewey Moss. I'm your New York City real estate resource. Please take a moment to like, subscribe, and hit that notification button, and let's get started. Okay, I have said this many times over in past market reports. I'll say it again. In terms of year over year, the Manhattan market is in a healthy state. It may be a little bit difficult to see. Sometimes the market sentiment, which we're going to talk about later, doesn't necessarily feel that way. But the Manhattan real estate market actually is quite healthy. This year is proving to be a good year in terms of sales and transactions. We're sitting slightly above normal, but let's get into all the specifics now. As we always do, we're going to start by looking at supply. Supply went up another 0.5%, which is good news, but it is beginning to look a little toppy on the top side. And we look at that because of the seasonality of Manhattan real estate. We always have a fall buying season and we always have a spring buying season. We're here at the end of October, November's coming, the holidays are on their way. So typically around this time, we've reached our peak. Looking at this chart, you'll see that we really are, based on other years, at the top of where we're going to be sitting in supply. But a rise of 0.5% is still very good for this time of year, but probably in the coming weeks, we're going to start seeing that supply number go down. Of course, we contrast supply with liquidity. So let's take a look at liquidity, which is a measure of supply and demand in the market. And that rose this month by 7%. And that's what I was talking about earlier, why I am saying that the Manhattan market is actually quite healthy. If we look at this chart, look at where we are compared to other years. Our contracts signed, our demand, our deals have gone up and are sitting in a very healthy spot. For both buyers and sellers, this could be a really good omen that we've risen 7%. It could mean that this next coming year is actually going to be a very strong year for the Manhattan real estate market. If we look year over year and where we're sitting, this looks like we're going to keep going up, and come spring, we will probably have a very strong market. Taking a look at the new listings on the market, that number actually fell by 20% this month. That is not a big surprise. Again, if we're looking at our seasons, a fall season and a spring season, we're at the end of our fall listing season. So naturally, that number is going to start coming down. People are going to start thinking about Thanksgiving in a couple of weeks. They're going to start taking holidays, and that will be all the way through December. Then that's going to get us into one of the slowest market periods in Manhattan through the winter. And so spring will be our next big selling season. So it is no surprise that our inventory for new listings would have fallen 20%, and that's relatively normal for the market at this time of year. Now, taking a look at the cumulative number of new listings, it did cross the 14,000 threshold, which is actually really good, but we are sitting just slightly below 2023 in terms of the amount of new listings that came on the market. However, that is positioned against the amount of transactions that have been done. You can have lots of new listings, but if there are no transactions, then is the market really healthy? Well, looking at the number of contracts signed, it actually fell 2% this month, but it's still above 200, which is a really good, strong amount of contracts to be signed within a month, which indicates that there are deals out there being done and the market is actually quite healthy. And finally, let's look at our market pulse. Now remember, our market pulse is a number that takes into account supply and demand and some other data and spits out an easy to understand number to let us know if we're in a buyer's market or a seller's market. If it's above 0, we're in a seller's market. If it's below 0, we're in a buyer's market. Now, we're just barely above 0 here, about 1.8. And that means that technically we are in a seller's market, but we are just barely in a seller's market. I would still very much consider this market to be a neutral market. If you take a look at the chart, look at the highs and the lows there. You can tell when we're in a really strong seller's market, and you can tell when we're in a really strong buyer's market. We are still very much in that neutral territory, although we're inching up just close to where we can say that it's a stronger seller's market. And that brings us to a discussion on market sentiment. So what exactly is market sentiment? Well, market sentiment is exactly what it sounds like. It's how people are feeling about the market, and sometimes that's strictly an emotionally based feeling, and sometimes it is data driven. So in the market, I can tell you that every 4 years when there is an election, we see the exact same thing. We see a good amount of buyers waiting until after the election to make a decision. You'll hear it time and time again as an agent, oh, I'm not gonna do anything until after the election. Why that is? Well, there's no one specific reason for that. Each buyer has their own reasons. Some are just, it's too emotional for them to think about until after the election. Some really are concerned about the economy and what a new administration will do and the impacts on the economy and how that may or may not affect their purchase. Some people are very data driven, so they're going to look at the data and they're going to look at the year over year and the elections and how it affects the market and make a decision from there. But I can tell you again, every 4 years we see the same thing to where people are waiting until after the election. All right, there you have it, our monthly Manhattan market report. Please take a moment to like and subscribe and hit that notification button. I'm Dewey Moss. I'm your New York City real estate resource. Please take a moment to look at all the information, the different ways that you can get in touch with me. I would love to help you find your New York City dream home. I'll see you next time.